All right. So we have a lot of ways of talking about chromosomes and DNA. A lot of words that can be interchanged sometimes, but really have specific meanings. And we're going to try to tease out some of those specific meanings when I put this on the board. So let's start with the concept that within the nucleus of a eukaryotic cell, we have long strands of DNA called chromosomes, which come in pairs. And let's go with this concept that DNA is the material that chromosomes are built out of. Give me an example of a trait. Excellent. Hair color is a trait. When we did Punnett squares, we used things called genotypes. And I'm going to represent a homozygous dominant gene and a homozygous, I'm going to represent a dominant gene and a recessive gene, and a genotype that we would call heterozygous here. So when I look at a combination of these, we call it a genotype. I'd like to substitute a word for both gene and for these. When we are talking about specific genes, either dominant or recessive, the word that I want to use now is the word allele. So for hair color, indicated on this drawing are two alleles. The kind that codes for brown hair, the dominant allele, and the kind that codes for blonde hair, the recessive allele. With this genotype of one dominant gene and one recessive gene, what would be the phenotype for the trait hair color? Okay, and in this case, thank you. So a genotype, homozygous, dominant and recessive, and the phenotype would be brown hair. Okay. When a sexually reproducing organism is preparing to mate, the alleles will go into special cells called gametes. And we're talking sperms and eggs here. So we briefly discussed that as gametes are being formed, one of the last thing that happens before the formation of sperms and eggs is that there is some crossing over on these chromosomes, but ultimately one allele or the other will end up in a sperm or egg. But sperms or eggs are not going to contain two alleles for a particular trait. So the end product is when two gametes meet, we then have a genotype consisting of two alleles.